Hi, this is Infinity, and I'm going to tell you today about my updated peacock version. I have an earlier YouTube video about the makings of the peacock tail, which I will get to in a minute, and I'm going to show you how to make the garments of the costume. So what I did this year is, instead of wearing just a regular bodysuit, was I decided to go with the corset. It was something a little bit more interesting than just wearing a bodysuit. So this is a corset that, just an inexpensive China import corset that I bought on eBay. It was plain, okay? And then this is a feather boa, which I sewed onto the bottom. So if you do that, it's in two pieces because the corset does open in the front, and then there's a separation in the back so you can adjust the lacing. So this is actually one piece here and one piece there. So for the cups, I glued on a lot of the peacock eyes, and this was worn 3 nights, and you could see it's not in the best condition. So I had some nice sword feathers going up the sides, and they did not survive very well. And it wasn't so much just the wearing, but I think when you, in the Northeast, Halloween is a cold time and you have to put a coat on, and I think just, wearing a coat over this delicate feather situation is not good. So just use, I bought a bunch of these. These big feathers, these are the leftover tail feathers that I used to make the tail with, and they came in handy for other projects. But just cut the eyes off of short peacock feathers. You can just buy short ones because you're cutting the stems off anyway. And then I glued them on. I didn't actually glue them on. I used double stick tape, like an industrial strength of double stick tape, and then just put the tape down the spine. And that way the feather, these are called the hurls, these hairs, they're flowing freely. And this looked 100% better before I wore it for 3 nights in a row with the coat on over on top. So that's the corset. So when you're wearing a corset, I'm sure you know this, but in case you're new at this game, you can't just walk around bottomless. So I do recommend buying matching tights. Let me get you an example. So always buy 2 pairs of tights in case you get a run. And I never had to open my second package, but these are kind of like an iridescent, they have like a shininess to them. And I think all of these products pretty much were all from eBay. So underneath the corset, I wore dance trunks. That's what you wear. It's like just the lower half of a bodysuit, or even if you have a bikini bottom, that'll work. And I wasn't comfortable just having nothing behind me other than the trunks, so I bought one of these tutus, and it's a flat tutu. I didn't buy the big tutu because I didn't want it to interfere with the feathers, just a little bit to cover up my rump so I didn't look like I was just in a bodysuit. So when you're in a corset, your arms are bare, and in the interest of trying to stay warm on a cold Halloween night in the Northeast, as well as dressing it up a bit, so I made some gloves. So partially made. So the glove itself was purchased, this one might have been Amazon. There's some companies that sell these in like 20 different colors. They're used for bridesmaid dresses. So you get the color you want, and then normally this hoop over here goes through your middle finger, but if you put the hoop through your pinky instead, you get more length on the glove, okay? So that was here. And then the feathers get sold in a row. It gets sold, it's like attached to ribbon, and that got sewn on. I can show you what that ribbon would look like. And you buy it, you can buy it by the yard, or you can buy it by the foot. And you sew that ribbon on with a needle and thread, and you are going to have some thread marks showing. So I covered up the thread marks by gluing little blue rhinestones over the threads to cover that up. And then after wearing that a while, I decided that my hands looked bare and I wanted my hands covered up. So Again, these are destroyed because, you know, you're in and out of the car, you're drinking and you're eating. So some of these things are like a one wearing situation. If you want to wear it a different night, you have to remake it. This is nothing more than just a common pipe cleaner, which I wrapped around my finger, and then I left a little bit extra here going in the direction of my hand. So when you put this on, you now have this feather covering up the back of your hand. And for other accessories, I did order a peacock necklace, which I have in here. I have some peacock earrings. Now the headpiece that I made, I covered thoroughly in my other video, so I won't go into it now. But basically, these are the pipe cleaners that I used to make the headpiece. So once I made the base, which was made out of 4 individual fascinator hat bases sewn and taped together, all of this texture is just made out of these pipe cleaners by coiling them up and gluing them on. And I give more detail about making the hat in my other video, which was uploaded earlier this year, so it shouldn't be too many videos away. These are another pair of peacock earrings that you can wear, readily available on eBay. I wore a short wig last year, all right, because in keeping, well, anytime you're an animal for Halloween, you want to show as little human skin as possible. And if you want to go all out, you shouldn't show any human skin. And that's what I did last year. I was completely covered head to toe, literally. Well, my hands were showing, but my face was completely painted with makeup, and my hair was gone underneath a wig, and then with the hat over it. This year I wore a wig, same thing basically, but just longer hair, just to dress it up a bit, okay? And then I also have one of these capes with me, just as I use as a layer of warmth, again, Halloween being a cold time of year, but this can also double as a tail if you wrap it around your waist. You can use this as the tail if you're in close quarters or in a place where you don't have the luxury of wearing a voluminous costume. You can just wrap this around your waist and it actually looks pretty good. I take the tail off if I'm sitting at a table or eating, or, you know, whatever the situation. So, oh, and then I decided to make new shoes. So, shoes are pretty easy. So I found an old pair of pumps. These were gold, so I thought that would be a nice color. And again, I started just taping on the peacock eyes. I bought about 100 of these, and I have some left, which is good, because if I wear the costume again next year, a lot of these feathers have to be replaced. So again, just put the double stick tape down the center spine of the peacock so that all of these loose pearl feathers are loose. And then obviously when you want to wear it again, you have to replace whatever feathers came loose. So in this case, a lot of the feathers actually survived. Things were well, but the shoes did not. The shoes did not survive. They had seen their day. So I had to make shoe B. And I had to find another pair of shoes in my closet, which I was willing to give up. So I found a pair of booties. As opposed to pumps, I went with a pair of short boots. And I think I actually prefer this better because you have more surface area to glue the feathers onto instead of just a pump. So these were really ready for the trash. They were like peeling apart. So at least I found a use for them. And same thing with gluing, just down the spine only. And whether you're using shoes or boots, you really shouldn't put any feathers on the interior of the shoes because your feet rub against each other and that'll knock the feathers off, and plus they're really not visible. Just cover the entire front of the toe all the way up to the side. I couldn't cover the back because there was a zipper, but normally I would cover, as I did here, cover up the entire back heel. Okay, but then I left the inside area without any feathers because they would just pop off from walking anyway. Okay, so now for the tail, I don't know if you want to zoom in. This portion of the tail is On an actual peacock, it's called the saddle feathers. The peacock has a set of small feathers before you get to the large plumage. And this, you know, really made it as nice as the peacock tail is. This is a nice part of the bird as well. So all these feathers were sewn, not sewn, but glued to a green felt base, which you can't see because I sewed on fusible interfacing to the back to stiffen it so it just wouldn't be floppy. And then I darted it. I made 4 darts in it, so now we have a concave, like a dome shape. Okay? And you can see where I think it was a combination of gluing and sewing now. It's not that fresh in my mind. I made it last year. And then this is an area of Velcro, which gets Velcroed on to the main tail. So if you want to make the main tail, which I'm sure is why you're watching this video, the instructions, it's very detailed instructions. It's a PDF. It's about 20 or more pages long. You can buy the instructions for that on Etsy.com, ETSY.com. The seller's name is Letitia Grace Lauer, I think it is, or Simply Grace is the seller's name on Etsy.com, or you can just put that in the search box, Articulated Peacock Tail Instructions. So if you want to take a look at what you're in for, if you do that, and I have to show it to you in 2 pieces because I've had the misfortune of having the tail break. So this is the back of the thing, and this, okay, gets placed on it like that with the Velcro. And what you're looking at here is the mechanism which allows the tail to open and close. Now these wires should not be here. The reason why these wires are here is because my tail got stepped on very numerous times actually, and the whole second half of the tail popped off. So normally you would see this all in one piece, and that's missing. So that's a little bit of a job for me to do, which shouldn't be too painful. But this is what you're in store for. It's basically a fulcrum, if I'm using the right terminology. And those other layers of feathers are going to be attached to the wires that they popped out of. It popped out intact. So, and the whole entire thing just attaches right to your waist. It's very easy to wear. You just pop it on. You just put this on your waist and you're good to go. There's no shoulder harness or anything like that. You can take it all on and off at will as easily as you take on and off a belt. And I made a little loop for it. It goes on and off, I should say up and down, by the use of pulley strings. Like you pull it. So they don't say that in the instructions, but for the pulley strings, I recommend buying parachute paracord because it will not break. This is guaranteed not to break, and you also need pulley strings that will not stretch or not give or not rip. So parachute paracord is the best guarantee that nothing will happen to the pulley strings. Now, I can't guarantee that no one will step on your tail, as I had the misfortune of happening. And if you are concerned about people stepping on your tail, don't make it very long. My tail hit the floor by 1 or 2 inches and trained behind me by about 1 or 2 inches, and that's all you need. So if you know you're going to be in close quarters, don't let the tail hit the floor. That way it'll hang straight down. If you're in a situation where you know no one will be around, you can make the tail trail behind you, and you'll be okay. But it all depends what kind of atmosphere you're wearing the costume in. Okay, so if you decide to make this, good luck and have a good time.